friends, it's Amanda here, and today we're talking about a spooky new release from Nomad Cosmetics. This is the Witch City Salem collection. This collection is launching just after midnight on Tuesday, August 26th. So by the time this video is posted to my channel, the collection should already be available for purchase. There is an 18 pan eyeshadow palette. This will be priced at $54 US. And then we also have 3 super cool lipsticks. These are going to be $17 each. If you're going to shop for any of these items, you will be able to use my affiliate code. It's just my first name, Amanda, and that will save you 10% on any of these new items. I'm not sure if codes will apply to the bundles or not.
I tested it myself, and you can definitely use codes on the bundles as well.
But I'm going to show you close-ups, swatches. We're going to do some comparisons with the palette. And I'm also going to show you this gorgeous purple eyeshadow look as well, using the Witch City Salem palette. I'm so excited. I love spooky season. I love fall. I love Halloween. I love purple eyeshadow. And I love Nomad. Getting me fired up. So let's get into the close-ups and swatches. And I'm going to give you all my thoughts along the way.
Here's a close-up look at the Spellbinding lipstick packaging. Each shade has a different snippet from the palette packaging. The lipstick tubes themselves all look pretty similar, although the little witch hat is on a different place, but it's not really indicative of the shades like the boxes are.
So one of mine got smushed in transit. Just FYI, one of my lipsticks did get smushed in the mail. I mean, it's okay, it'll work, but it is like broken. Just FYI. It happens. It happens. This is what it's supposed to look like.
The lipsticks have these gorgeous, shimmery, metallic, swirly patterns. It's kind of evoking this spell casting aura, magic smoke kind of vibe, which I love for Halloween. I'm not a big metallic lip person myself, but I think that this is such a smart choice for a spooky collection, for a Salem collection. I actually think that this is so fun and they look bold, especially in swatch. They look really shiny and metallic, but I think on the lips, all 3 of these are a lot more wearable than I expected. Again, I'm not a metallic lip lover, but I love the way metallic lips look in general. And I think, especially for spooky looks, Halloween party looks, costume looks, this type of thing is just so special and different. That's really the takeaway for me is even though I'm not a gold lipstick everyday type of girly, this is something that is very unique and stands out in my own collection. So I always find that exciting and intriguing when there are unique new products out. I actually like the gold way more than I thought I was going to. The reddish lipstick called Devil's Book looks quite pink on me. I think this is probably the most wearable of the 3 colors. Like I could see this being worn day to day, even in a corporate work environment and not being too out there. Unfortunately, the purple is my favorite shade, but it was my least favorite formula wise, just because it was a little bit more streaky and ended up looking more patchy than the other 2. I could definitely see myself wearing the gold shade called Witching Hour with some of my favorite Halloween costumes. So I think that one may get some actual major rotation in my life, which is surprising and exciting. Now let's talk about the Witch City Salem palette. Like I said, this is an 18 pan eyeshadow palette. It's priced at $54 US. However, you can save a little bit using some affiliate codes. The front has this misty nighttime scene. We've got jack-o'-lanterns, witches, black cats, fog. It's very Salem. And then on the back, all of their usual information telling you about the destination that inspired the palette And they also do have indicators here that the palette is both cruelty free and vegan, and they are a proud supporter of Panthera. As usual, I will link some more information about their charitable cause in the description box if you're interested in learning more or supporting it yourself. The front cover is one of those shifting images, just like we've seen on the Haunted Europe and Ghost Town USA palettes. I love that. I like that they've stuck with that type of theming of this shifty image for their spooky palettes. And then inside, I love to see an even split of mattes and shimmers. It looks like we have a nice range of light, mid-tone, and then some deeper shades. There's also a nice balance in here of brights and murky tones. And if you look at this palette as two 9 pans side by side, I see a very distinctive, like pumpkin color story here with these oranges and greens, and then a more spooky kind of haunted, ghostly purple and mist and that dark black matte shade. Of course, we have the printed pans. This is another signature of the Nomad brand with cauldrons, jack-o'-lanterns, all kinds of spooky, witchy scenes. I just love this. As you probably already know, I love Halloween. I love spooky season, and this is really tugging at my heartstrings. And this Witch City Salem palette is more than just vibes. It's really delivering on performance. Here you can see all of the shades from the palette swatched. On the top row are swatches that I just did with a finger swipe, and then each shade is a corresponding brush swatch below. I use an e.l.f. flat eyeshadow brush for those. I don't dampen the brush. I don't use any primer or anything. This is just the performance of the shadows straight onto my skin, and you will get to see them over a primer in the tutorial portion. That way you just get a whole variety of application methods. Hopefully that gives you the best, most thorough possible info about these eyeshadows. When you look up close here, one thing that I want to note is that the intensity and that the opacity with the brush swatches is so consistent across the board. Some of these are known to be incredibly problematic shades formula wise. Dark purples, dark reds, neons, all the matte black and white, those are always shades that can be quite dry, quite streaky. And here I'm just so impressed with the impact of these matte shades. And that definitely applies to when these shades are in use as well. Of course, I started my look by just priming with a little eyeshadow base. I've been really hooked on this one called Ignite from Sigma. Then I'm going to go in with a combination of these two matte gray shades. I just sort of dipped this fluffy singe brush back and forth between those two mattes just to start to add a little bit of a coolness to the outer edges of this look. And also, as I build up the eyeshadow, it blends really nicely into itself. So I'm going to use this gray combo to blend some of the purples, and it will add a little bit of a cool tone to those purple matte shades as we layer up the colors. Next, I'm using the shade Hocus Pocus, and I'm using a smaller, more detailed fluffy brush. As you can see, this shadow is quite pigmented. I just barely tapped into the shadow with this brush, and this is the amount that I am able to build up just from one little dip into that pan. So I'm really impressed with just the intensity of these shadows and how easily they're still able to layer even though they are super pigmented. Here's what I was talking about, going back with a little bit of that gray just to blend the edges. And I'm using just what's left over on my brush. I'm not piling a whole lot more shadow on here because these are so nicely pigmented. You can really continue to work with the look for a while. And I'm just going back and forth with those brushes here to get a nice blown out kind of cool purpley look. I was afraid that this would end up being a little bruisey looking, But once I add the shimmers, I think that really pulls everything together. Before I get to the shimmers, though, I have to use this super bright blue purple blurple matte shade called Salem Commons. This was calling my name as soon as I cracked this palette open, and I knew that I was going to find a way to incorporate it, even just a little bit of deepening around the edges of the outer part of the upper and lower lid. Then it's time for my favorite part of any eyeshadow look, which is just adding a bunch of metallic shimmeriness all over my lids. Combining these two purple shimmer shades called Gallows Hill and Ropes Mansion. I just, again, dip my finger back and forth between the two and then tap that on top of the majority of my lid space on top there. And now I want to add some shimmer to the lower lid too because I am a shimmer gremlin and I must continue to add more and more shimmer. So we're not done yet. Howling Halloween is going on the lower lash line. And then I'm going to use this soft silver shade called Old Burying Point. And using a little detail brush from Fantasy Cosmetica, I'm going to pack some of that silver shimmer right around the inner corners of my lids. Then I just curled my lashes, added a little bit of L'Oreal mascara, and that's my finished look. I love purple eyeshadow. I am so pleased with how this whole look turned out. I know over the years I've done so many purple looks, but it is my favorite eyeshadow color to wear, and I was so happy wearing this all day. I kept catching a glimpse of my eye look throughout the day, and oh boy, it wore beautifully. It applied easily. I'm just super happy with the performance overall. But here's the really important question. What do the comparisons look like? The first palette that I thought of to compare this to is the Haunted Europe palette because it has that same layout, that like orange and green 9 pan on one side and the more purpley, spooky 9 pan on the other side. That was what really drew my mind to this comparison first and foremost. And I think you can tell just by seeing them here in the pans. The Witch City Salem palette is quite a bit brighter. Haunted Europe definitely leans a little bit more neutral, a little bit more kind of murky. And in my experience, I do have the super old Haunted Europe palette, not the updated, reformulated version. But the shadow performance is day and night. Witch City Salem performs so, so much better for me. So I like both of these color stories. I don't think that they are incredibly similar, but for me, the performance is so much better with the Salem palette that I don't even feel like discussing the colors anymore. However, these two palettes, which you may know are my absolute favorite Nomad palettes of all time, do have excellent performance. And you know what? You can get some pretty darn similar looks. The main things that we're missing here are the bright green and the bright purple. But I think if you have Hudson Valley and Ghost Town, USA, then you have the majority of this shade range covered. But I like all three of these palettes, so I think any or all of the above I would recommend. Now we have to talk about the ColourPop and Hocus Pocus collab palettes. Several people wanted to see the Witching Hour comparison. I did decide to combine Witching Hour and Gather Round Sisters so that I could have enough shades for a comprehensive comparison here. I'd say these are pretty similar. Again, we're really lacking those intense bright greens and purples and definitely missing some of the lighter, cooler tones here. But I think that the best overall comparison, at least that I came up with, are these Oden's Eye palettes that they did in collaboration with Angie for Halloween. The Trick or Treat and Little Ghost palettes. This is pretty darn similar. Now, we're missing the matte black, which I do think is an important element, but overall, I think these are the most similar of the comparisons I came up with. Let me know if there's any others you want to see, and I can do them as shorts for you. But that's all I got for comparisons today.
Like I said in the intro, this is a collection that's just made for me. I'm always excited to see what Nomad's doing. And I gotta tell ya, Their fall and spooky season palettes continue to be some of my favorites. The Hudson Valley palette and the Ghost Town USA palette, both fall spooky season releases, are probably my top two favorite palettes that they've ever done. So this is just the time of year that I get very, very invested in the launches. And this palette is absolutely beautiful. I love some cool tone neutrals. I love a bright metallic silver. I love rich purples. I love some mossy green here. I'm not as crazy about the bright, bright green, but green and purple are my two favorite eyeshadow colors to wear. So I'm always getting fired up to see this color combo. I just think this is beautiful. It's right on the nose for Halloween colors, hitting a lot of the right notes for me. Styling, I love the fact that we have an even split of mattes and shimmers. That's another big one for me. This is just hitting all the right notes for me personally. I would love to do some more eyeshadow looks with this palette if that's something you'd be interested in. Would you rather see a dedicated video for more looks for this palette in particular? Do you want to see some spooky season palette bingos maybe? Let me know what you think about that, what you think about this collection. I always love to hear what you think about things too, so make sure you leave all your thoughts down in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye! I had to put my little spooky trees earrings in. I forgot to wear my earrings this morning. Got my Sanderson Museum sweatshirt on. I'm ready. Now, to be fair, I do use all of these things year-round. So it's not really specific to this video, but that's another... Anyway, back to the show. Huh? Okay. I need some witch's brew, if you know what I mean. It's coffee. It's early. Back to school season, baby. I have a bunch of my fall and Halloween earrings on my Etsy shop too. It's not just my favorite season for palettes, it's also my favorite season for jewelry. I love fall and Halloween jewelry as well. Hence why I wear it year round. Okay. That's that. Now I just gotta go film the comparison swatches and I can start editing this bad boy for you. Thanks for hanging out. Appreciate you. And I'm glad you're here. And I hope you have a great day. And I love your face. Okay, bye.